Nearly 1.5 million high school students nationwide experience physical abuse from a dating partner in a single year. What can we do about this? Next on Connecting Our Community. Hello everybody, I'm Karen Allen and welcome to Connecting Our Community. 1 in 3 adolescents in the U.S. is a victim of physical, sexual, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner. That is heavy stuff. Our guests now are here to discuss this. Is really actually frightening. Cheryl Kravitz is a member of the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council. That's in Montgomery County. And Toby Knapp. Hi, Toby.
Hi.
Afternoon drive host and assistant program director at Hot 99.5 FM, iHeartRadio. You two are quite a combination. Between the three of us, we're all talkers.
Yes, this should be one heck of a conversation this afternoon.
And we all know or have middle school and high school kids in our lives and have a lot of experience with them. And we know that this is a very serious statistic. And we're here to talk about it. It is very, very scary. Just saying that was really scary to me because we know it's true, and that also it's become very, very out there to talk about this. Our kids are actually very out there in school discussing this. Right. And wow, what do we do about it? So what's happening? What is happening?
Well, what we do in Montgomery County, and we are so thrilled that Toby has been with us from the start, we do a conference annually called Choose Respect, and we're starting to work on the 2017 conference. This year we had 500 students.
Wow.
Come to that conference. It's the largest one we've ever had, and the topic of the conference was Choose Respect, respect your selfie. And we were talking earlier about how the use of cell phones, computers have really had an impact on our kids.
You said selfie, not self, so I know folks
Right.
at home heard choose your selfie.
Right. Respect your selfie.
Yeah, wow. My goodness. How are you involved, Toby?
Well, they asked me in the beginning, my friends who work at the state attorney's office, I actually met them because our kids went to school together, and obviously being a parent, you know, this is something that's, being a parent, you want to know what's going on with your kids. So when they asked me if I wanted to be involved with this, it's not just me as a parent wanting to be involved with something important, a conversation that we need to have because my daughter is now growing into her teenage years. It's a conversation that I felt like I wanted to be a part of because these are people who listen to our radio station, and we're talking about some heavy, heavy stuff. We're talking about things that happen at school, things that are said, things that are done in these formidable relationship years. Let's be honest, if you allow bad seeds to be planted, as it were, while these children are young, if you tell people that abusive relationships are okay when they're 12, 11, 13, 14, 15, when they're 25, 35, 45, 55, whether they're men or women, we're going, look, these seeds will grow. And we've seen the news stories about domestic violence. We've seen what this, look, it's an epidemic. And it's not okay. So for us, when they asked me if I wanted to be a part of this conversation and be involved, sure, it's bringing Hot 99.5 in, and we're very blessed. We have a lot of fans who happen to be young, and we have a lot of mothers and daughters and families who listen to us as well, and we're very aware of our position. But for me and for us at the station, I think it's about using our platform to bring about culture change, to change the conversation, to educate not just these young people, but parents, because there is a right way to be loved. There's a right way to have a relationship, and then there are very wrong ways to have relationships. And this is what this entire conference is about. It's educating not just kids but parents as to what is okay when it comes to a relationship. And that starts with you understanding you. And that's what the one-day conference is all about.
Right.
Teaching, educating, equipping, because it's a conversation that needs to be had, and we can't be afraid to have it. And I think, and maybe I'm wrong, I don't have statistics to back this up, but as a parent, I can say that there are some conversations which it's tough at times for me to have with my daughter. And there are conversations I'll bring up that maybe she might feel a little awkward talking to dad about. And this conference helps to break down those walls, to tear down barriers in communication so that we can put on the table what is right in a relationship, what's wrong in a relationship, and empower these young people so that we can bring about this, to me, it's culture change.
You're not alone in having difficulty having these kinds of conversations.
I know. That's when I call in mom. I'm like, listen, mom.
Right.
Mom, because mom and I co-parent well, and I will tell you that there are a lot of sidebar conversations about things she hears or that I hear. And
Absolutely.
it's
They're
funny
not
because
alone. This
they're-
is so common.
But they're conversations I'll hear at this conference. That young people will have when it comes to relationships. It's amazing to me what you hear when you listen, when you've torn down the walls and the barriers and you allow young people to actually speak freely about what goes on. We're talking about a brave new world when it comes to communication. They're texting, tweeting, snapping, posting on
Snapchatting.
Instagram videos.
Tinder,
here.
Tumblr.
It's an entirely new world with an entirely new language. But you know what? Feelings are still feelings. Abuse is still abuse.
You're absolutely
And
right. And what they see at
it's-
home, I think, too. I think it is at
Absolutely.
home. And I think you mentioned 12 to, it's 6, 5, and 4 that
Sure.
they're seeing parental
Right.
abuse in many homes, too.
Right.
That is, shush, shush, not out there as well. And they need to see that that's wrong and that, to speak up about it.
Right.
And you also mentioned selfie. It's all out there, all over,
Well, one of
and
the things-
that needs to be addressed, too.
Yeah, one of the things
So
that
open.
I learned there, I am a survivor of domestic violence, and I have a daughter who is now in college who was in an abusive dating relationship, who finally told me about it. And she talked to one of her mentors, and she and her mentor came to my husband and me and told us. One of the things that I did at the Choose Respect conference, and I'm so glad that I was able to do it, is I led the parents session. We had over 100 fathers and mothers and aunts and uncles in that session. That tells me something right away.
Right.
Profound.
And one of the things that we did in that session is talked about that very thing. How do you start the conversation with your child? How do you present an atmosphere at home that gives your child the opportunity to either tell you about what's going on or gives them the freedom to talk to an adult or a friend who would then come to you or one of their parents or guardians. And it was so poignant for me to listen, just as Toby is talking about what the kids were talking about, what the parents are talking about, and how they feel just frozen. What do you do?
I'm just going to add on to that. They are frozen for so many reasons because of my own experiences in the industry of the variety of what happens in family court and with therapists, with attorneys, with judges. When you do speak up about such things, you are A, not believed, or A, not taken seriously, or the perpetrator is not dealt with seriously. There's good reason for them to be frozen. That has to do with legalities or therapeutics or blah, blah, blah. Things perhaps for another show, but that trickles down to your children
Well, that's-
and to the stress it causes
No
in your family.
question.
So where do you go when you're a kid, or a parent? And therefore, it is a problem.
Well,
It
think
is a-
about it. When you just you just spoke very adult, as it were, with a bunch of adult things about things adults face. Litigiousness, as our society
Yes.
can be extremely litigious. So, for parents, they don't want to talk about these things because this might be used against me in court, and I'm in a bad relationship, and I'm trying to get out. Well, kids see this, right?
Yes.
And this same
Yes.
sort of thing happens in the hallways at our schools.
Absolutely.
If you tell anybody that Tommy was treating you wrong, you're going to be a bully and a snitch. And nobody's going to like you, and you're going to lose all of your friends. Why? Because Tommy might have yelled at you or treated you inappropriately because you didn't return his text at
So
10:30
true.
last night.
So true.
So, and then what happens is because they see this at home, the kids, they sweep this under the rug, and they don't want to talk about it because let's think about it. You don't want to lose your friends.
Right.
You don't want to be considered uncool. You don't want to be ostracized. You don't want to be the person that got the popular kid, the boy who liked you, in trouble because, maybe he was being inappropriate or maybe treating
So
you
true.
incorrectly. And
It's
the-
shame
and
and
it's-
embarrassment.
You're
And
right.
if you have to turn to your parent for help, then you're really in trouble because then you didn't solve it yourself, and everyone knows you turned to your parent.
And then the parents get involved, and the parents get ostracized. So
worst,
it creates this. But that's the thing about the conference that I think is so powerful. Is a conversation targeted at young people, and it's also targeted at parents because,
Yep.
like you both ladies have said, this is a conversation that has to start at home, so that the wrong seeds don't get planted, so that they don't bear the fruit when they grow up, which leads to arrest, which leads to these horrible stories, which leads to these court cases that we see, which
Exactly.
leads to. In some
Absolutely
cases, if we're going to be real honest about it, what manifests itself out of domestic violence and dating violence you allow this to happen in somebody, you continually allow it to somebody,
Yep.
and the most outrageous things, tragic things can happen.
Absolutely.
But part of that is that you need, I agree with you, but part of that is we need to make sure that parents and peers and teachers and other caring adults recognize the signs.
Right.
Because there are very distinct signs to
Sure.
look for. And if you know what those signs are, there is a way that you can provide help.
Tell us what they are right now. Go for it,
You
Cheryl.
know, briefly, texting. Toby mentioned, you know, some of these kids who are stalking, they are sending not 4 or 5 texts, they are sending 100, 200, 300 texts. Isolation is another critical one.
Definitely.
So your
Control.
daughter, you're controlled. Power and control, that's what abuse is
And
about.
isolation,
And
very
so
big, yeah.
financial. You know, when my daughter was experiencing it, one of the things that happened with the guy that she was dating is that she was paying for everything. Why don't you have any money? Well, that's one of the reasons. Unexplained bruises. You
yeah.
know, you can see
Yeah.
that. Friends not calling, the child not reaching out. There are very distinct things. It's called, and one of the things that we try to talk about with both the students and with their parents is the cycle of abuse. And the cycle of abuse is very, very tricky, and it happens with not only students but with adults. The abuser kind of, you know, sucks you into this relationship.
Yep.
You know, it's
Seduce would
very,
be the right word.
yeah,
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 it's
seduces.
true.
And then what happens is very, very slowly the tension begins to build. And the usually young woman, but could it be a young man
Yeah.
as well, feels it and does everything that he or she can to please the abuser. And then eventually the abuser erupts, and it's either unfortunately physical abuse or very, very disastrous mental abuse. And then they start again with
Right.
the seduction.
Yeah. Oh,
they're
I'm
never
sorry.
ple-
Forgive me. Oh, I'm sorry. This will never
Yeah.
happen again.
Right.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
But you can never please them.
Right.
Never,
Give me
you
another
never
chance.
get
Let
them.
me have
There's
one
no
more
there there.
opportunity.
That's right.
Let me have one
That's
more
right.
chance,
That's
and then
right.
it starts all over again. And it's
Yeah.
unfortunate. And the more that we can empower young people with these conferences, this conference specifically in Montgomery County, the more I think we can bring about what I've said earlier, culture change.
Exactly.
Where we can have the conversation and make it okay to have.
We're going to take a break. We have some more neat stuff to show you when we get back. Some PSAs created by children, the kids, I shouldn't say kids, adolescents coming back, and some more stuff like 800 numbers and how you can help. Don't go anywhere. This is great stuff. Stay where you are.
When you donate goods in response to an international disaster, it's expensive.
They have to cross the sea, pass through customs, be inspected, sorted, then finally delivered.
And often they arrive too late to help, making your good intentions feel a little empty.
There is a better way.
Cash donations are fast, simple, and allow professional relief workers to purchase supplies close at hand.
Cash is best. Learn more at CIDI.org.
It's our duty to serve veterans and military families who serve their country in the most difficult ways imaginable. Together, we can say thank you in so many ways. Small acts of kindness mean more than anything. With our support, veterans and military families can face even the most difficult challenges. Let's honor their service with ours.
We are back with Cheryl Kravitz, who is a member of the Domestic Violence Coordinating Council in Montgomery County, and Toby Knapp, afternoon drive host and assistant program director at Hot 99.5 iHeartRadio. I have to read it because the titles are so long. But we're talking about physical, sexual, and emotional and verbal abuse from a dating partner. We should widen it to friendship too.
Sure.
Just abuse from your fellow gal or guy. I think we're focusing mostly on middle and high school here, and we're talking about how much younger it actually has gotten, and also how much more open it is, and that our kids shouldn't have to take it, really. There was a contest that you ran, and some really gifted middle school and high school put together some PSAs. We want to show you guys at home those. They're really short, they're really quick, and they're fabulous. Take it away, Cheryl.
They are so amazing. This year we had more public service announcement entries than we have had any other year, and it took a long time to go through each one of them. We probably had 30 or 40 that were entered into this contest. Verizon sponsored it, and they gave prizes, which Toby gave out at the end of the conference, to the 5 winning public service announcements. And I'll tell you about the 5 of them. Number 5 is called Does He Really Like You? And the premise of that public service announcement was that when kids are little, one of the things that happens is, say a boy hits a girl and somebody will say, oh, he's just doing that because he likes you. And it's what Toby was saying earlier, that they learn this stuff real early. This one was put together by students from Wheaton High School.
All right.
Hey, what was that for? What are you gonna do about it, giant?
Did you like the park?
It wasn't the best of times.
What do you mean it wasn't the best of times? What happened? Well, what? What happened?
Well, someone was acting mean to me at the park.
Well, there's nothing I can really tell you, Ashley. That just means he likes you.
For you parents telling your children this, don't unless you want us to grow up confused, not knowing the difference between love and abuse. And for teens that are too scared to speak up, please call.
Okay. Fourth one.
The
Fourth
fourth
runner-up?
one was called Why Me? Students from Gaithersburg High School. And one student put it together. She won the prize. And again, it's very poignant and very, very important, the message that she put across.
Let's take a listen. Cool. Okay.
The third one was called Don't Be Silenced, and this was one of our middle school entries. It was Forest Oak Middle School. I love this one. 5 girls, and they each spoke to the camera, and they said something like, he really loves me, but underneath there was a line saying, he doesn't love you. And then they talked about where to go for help at the end.
He loves me. I'm never gonna leave him.
He always compliments me.
He's always there to pick me up when I fall. My relationship is perfect. He always complimented me on my outfits.
He makes me feel good about myself.
I'm his first priority. I am, and I always will be.
I'm fine. He
Never.
love me. If you or somebody you know is in an abusive relationship, call 1-800-799-7233. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 4 men have been victims of physical violence. Don't be silenced. Say no to domestic violence.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2 is called Abuse Does Not Discriminate from Sherwood High School. And what was really cool about this one is the students talked about all the different groups that go to their high school. It was LGBT kids, racially, religious, and they really pointed out that abuse doesn't discriminate.
How true.
Hi, my name's Joey, and I was in an abusive relationship.
Young adult dating violence is a serious issue affecting youths across the nation.
1 out of 10 high school students has been physically abused by a boyfriend or girlfriend.
Nearly 1.5 million high school students nationwide suffer physical abuse from a dating partner in a single year. Abusive relationships don't have to be forever.
You can get help.
There are various hotlines
and support groups
that will help you if you give them a call.
Gay,
bi,
Lesbian,
transgender,
white,
black,
Hispanic,
Asian,
Middle Eastern.
everyone. Abuse does not discriminate.
And the winner is?
The winner, I Came, I Saw, I Conquered, from Roberto Clemente Middle School. About 5 students put this one together, and special congratulations to their advisor for having them.
Youngsters.
Youngsters.
So tell us how it started.
It was sudden and really unexpected. I felt as though
I didn't know who he was anymore. I thought that maybe
he would come around after I gave him some
Time, but he didn't.
And how old were you?
I was
14.
17,
13.
15.
What did he do?
He told me that he loved me.
Said that he
Was fixing me.
He hit me,
Punched and kicked.
made me cry.
but I stayed because afterwards he'd tell me that he was doing it because he cared.
I had fallen into his twisted game.
And how did you deal with that?
I covered my bruises.
Put on a smile, anything to make sure.
No one would know.
The best thing that ever happened to me
Was when I told somebody. They protected me.
And I found the courage to finally say,
no.
Things have changed since then. And I'm happy for that.
If you could say something to those who are going through what you did, what would it be?
No one deserves it.
You know what's amazing is how far we've come. Back in my day, there was no making videos with this kind of message. We had to get these messages not in the same way, and it is so out there. It is so out there on every media, and for these talented young women in the winner's case to make these kinds of messages and to be able to get the message, manufacture it in their way, and send it back out.
Middle school.
And you watch these two.
Middle school kids.
Amazing.
Like, it's tremendous. And you know, we talk about these new forms of communication and how fights via text, fights via chat room, fights. Those same forms of communications, which made an iPhone, which was used to film that winning PSA, can also be the source of so much harm. But it's great to me to see that these middle school kids have taken this device, which can cause so much personal pain, and they've really used it for something so incredible.
So impressive. It must have been a joy to judge these things.
Oh, it was
wow.
To hand out these awards was just tremendous. These kids, they walk up. My mind is blown. I mean, you just saw how great these top 5 were. Remember, you might want to talk to your people here and hire them for production purposes.
Right.
Now, because
I have middle schoolers directing my own show.
Wow. See? There it is.
Go.
Which is amazing. We're flying through this because we want to get more messages out. What should kids do, or your kids and mine, if they notice that their friends are in an unhealthy relationship? What should we tell them? What should they tell each other? We both have middle school daughters, and their friends, let's say, not dating, or their friends are rude and unfriendly to them. What should we tell them? What should they do?
I think we need to create an atmosphere where our kids are not afraid to say, "Hey, mom, hey, dad, this sucks. I have friends who are treating me like crap." If we're going to be real honest and real frank about it.
Which is hard.
And it's tough.
Because they don't tell us.
Because sometimes they don't want to, because they don't want to be considered the snitch. And then they don't want you to come down on them, because here's the thing. It's like Pavlov's dog in some sort of way. They don't want to get smacked by you. But, oh, just deal with it.
Yeah.
Oh, just handle. You know what? They have feelings too. We were once them, and we had those feelings. And if we're real honest about it, sometimes in our own relationships, maybe we've had some things go on that we would probably revisit. We need to not be afraid to welcome the conversation, to have the conversation, and to embrace the conversation. We need to just keep talking. And as long as we can keep talking, create this atmosphere where our kids feel safe speaking to us about what they're going through, we have the opportunity to guide them, to help them grow. and to bring about, like I've said repeatedly today, to bring about that culture change.
Educate parents, educate kids, right, Cheryl?
Absolutely. And you know, Toby mentioned the state's attorney's office. There are programs, they go out to the schools, they talk to students, they talk to teachers, and I would strongly suggest that anyone who needs any help, call the Family Justice Center, the Montgomery County Family
That's a good one.
Justice Center. We were one of the sponsors
We have
of
the
Choose
website
Respect.
too. We can show that right now. Yeah.
Yes, and there are many ways to get help. Help is available. Montgomery County is a leader in combating domestic violence and dating violence and friendship violence, and here is a way that we can help one another.
MontgomeryCountyMaryland.gov/FJC, and also you can call Montgomery County Schools, md.org/main story/story is also a place to go for more information on the Montgomery County Schools website as well. So that and Family Justice Center, both of you, thank you so much. I cannot thank you enough. Cheryl Kravitz, Toby Knapp, my gosh, iHeartRadio, thank you so much. I got to have pictures with both of you so I can blast it on social media.
All right, here comes more selfies, everybody.
The safe kind, thank you very much. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Hope to see you again on the next episode of Connecting Our Community, mymcmedia.org. I'm Karen Allen. See you next time. Stay safe. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.